Another benefit, fewer tornadoes and big hailstorms across most of the country. El Niño occurs every few years when the surface of the eastern Pacific Ocean gets warmer than average. More water evaporates and streams across the U.S., altering weather patterns over millions of square miles. One of those changes is in the jet streams. The jet stream over the Gulf of Mexico tends to get stronger, while the one over the continent gets weaker. That prevents Gulf moisture from streaming northward. The combination of less moisture and a weaker jet stream subdues the conditions that spawn violent weather. So according to the study, the risk of violent weather is much lower during El Niño. The same study also found that the risk is much higher during La Niña. That's the opposite of El Niño, when the water temperatures in the eastern Pacific are cooler than normal. La Niña tends to cause more extreme temperatures, drought conditions across the southwest, and more tropical storms. If there are El Niño or La Niña conditions over the winter, they generally stick around for spring, the stormiest season. That could help officials predict a stormy spring during La Niña, or chill to a calmer season during El Niño. Science in the Sea is a production of the University of Texas Marine Science Institute at Port Aransas. I'm Holly Brawley.
Do you have a great idea for a radio show but have no idea where to start? Or have you been hosting a podcast for a while and want to take it to the next level? If so, you need the Gab Radio Network. To host a show on the Gab Radio Network, all you need is your voice, and we'll handle the rest. From technical engineering to full-service audio production and much more. Every show on the Gab Radio Network can be heard on our station on the TuneIn Radio app. Plus, we put all of our shows on our satellite, which is accessed by over 5,500 stations. And here's the best part. You can host from anywhere you want. There are many means to connect to the Gab Radio Network remotely, and our staff of highly trained engineers and producers will make you sound like you're right here in studio. So, if you want to be on the Gab Radio Network, the same network that hosts the Small Business Advocate, Radio MD, and The Federalist, send an email right now to sales@gabradionetwork.com. That's sales@gabradionetwork.com.
The revolution starts now. Starts now. You're about to enter the Real Estate Expert Online Radio Show. The Jake and Cliff Show is on. Showing you how real estate investing can make your dreams, your future, your financial freedom, your reality. And now, your hosts, Jake and Cliff.
Hello, everybody. I am Jake. Cliff is here, but he's not speaking right now because we have a protocol that we have to follow, and he always breaks it. So I sometimes have to chastise him severely. This is the see, you did it again. No ice cream for you tonight, Mister. All right. So anyway, this is the Jake and Cliff Show once again. Radio Real Estate Expert Online is on the air, and we have a great show for you today. And one of the reasons it's always great. It's great because of me, but the other reason it's great is because this show, and this is actually really the important thing, tongue-in-cheek aside, we have a real live, no kidding, gosh darn golly, real estate expert, and his name is Cliff Gager. So without further ado, Mr. Cliff Gager.
Yay, yay. Hey, Jake, how are you? How are you out there in, you ever hear them on the old time radios? They go, hello, out there on Radio Land.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, I thought there was actually people like at the studio, and the bands that were playing the music were literally at the radio station.
Well,
at
one
the studio.
At one time,
it used to
back
be.
in the 30s, they were.
Right.
They were a big production, and there actually were bands and orchestras, not merely.
Yeah.
And the difference between a band and an orchestra has strings.
And now, just like they were saying on the Gab network, you can do this from anywhere. All you need is just the right equipment, and boom, you are everywhere. It's really cool. So, anyways,
we're inaugurating our first time on the GAB network, the Gab network. The acronym is appropriate, because we're gabbing here, and we're gabbing about real estate. And
I've got a great show today, too.
I was going to say, what are we doing today?
Well, I am very active on Facebook, and I have a lot of people that ask me a lot of questions on Facebook. And I posed a question, oh my God, last night at around 11 hours ago. So that was about, what, 1 o'clock in the morning-ish. And we're in California, so it's Pacific Standard Time. And I asked, what's the 3 biggest obstacles that you face with real estate investing?
Oh,
And-
I remember you said this to me, and I read it.
Yeah.
And I thought, where would I begin? It's like, what you mean, my 3 greatest obstacles this week or this month or in my life, or what are we talking here?
Well, and this is one way of not only keeping up with what my little area of real estate investing is, but also getting the big picture from just the general public, because I know a lot of the things that came up are solutions that I deliver, and my students usually don't have those problems, or sometimes they need to be refreshed on what is currently the obstacles that they need to avoid. So,
well, I actually have several. Can I share with you mine? Mine are procrastination is one.
Yeah.
That's a killer. And magical thinking is another.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the third one, but those are 2. It'll come back to me. That happens to me sometimes. I talk about something and then I forget what I was going to say, and then in the middle of talking about the other thing, it comes back to me and I go, oh, and it was this. But procrastination is a killer for everybody, and I don't even know if I'm taking the show away from you right now.
No, procrastination. I was going to talk about that a little bit later, but let's do that later.
We don't have to talk about that. Let's talk about magical thinking, because magical thinking is another one.
You didn't get that.
Magical thinking, what?
I'm procrastinating about talking about procrastinating.
I didn't know you were Irish, is all I can say. Irish humor, I'm Irish. I'm half Irish and half Norwegian. And Irish humor is that kind of humor where someone tells you a joke and you don't really know whether it's a joke.
Exactly.
And that's called dry humor.
Dry humor.
And the Irish are very good at that. But
the guy that played the violin was Henny Youngman was very dry humor.
Henny Youngman was very good at that. Rodney Dangerfield was pretty good at that.
Oh my God, are we giving away our age now?
God bless Rodney. Saint Rodney of comedy. And
no respect.
You're right. I don't get no respect.
Well, let's talk about
I went to my doctor. He said I had 6 months to live. He said, give me another opinion. He said, you're ugly too.
Oh, he told me I got 3 months to live. I says I couldn't pay him, and he gave me another 6 months.
That's right. What a doctor. That's Dr. Vinny Boombots.
Yeah.
When did this degenerate into a comedy category?
I know.
Anyway, I wanted to get on magical thinking, because magical thinking is...
Nobody knows what this is, by the way.
No, but I think that this is really...
But it'll resonate.
This is one that really dogged me in my early days, and it still can. Unless I get a dose of reality. Magical thinking is the thing that makes your dog think that when you walk out of the house, you vanish.
Yes.
That's magical thinking.
Right.
And many people go through their lives restricted by magical thinking. And they think, for example, applying this to the show, that real estate, success in real estate, or really success in anything, happens magically.
Yeah.
Like winning the lottery. It's something, and not only that, but the negative aspect of this is it's something that happens to other people. It doesn't happen to me. And if it did, it would be a miracle. It would be like magic. And this is a killer. And people live their entire lives this way. And this is an awful and dreary and lonesome way to live. And
so how do you overcome that?
Well, knowledge is the way to overcome it. One of the things that we do here at Real Estate Radio, Real Estate Expert Online, or Real Estate Radio Expert Online, is to dispel.
You'll get it right one of these times.
Dispel. Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna write it on your forehead.
Hey, give me a break. I had a bad morning.
Yeah, you actually did.
I actually did. We won't go into
Yeah.
that. But one of the things to do that is to get knowledge and to understand that you can actually do this. And magical thinking and procrastination kind of go hand in hand, because not only do you not believe you can do it, not only do you believe it's something that happens to other people, you don't try.
Right, right. And failure comes from not trying. One of the things that I found throughout the years is I didn't know you couldn't do that.
Right.
That's a very interesting, when you break that sentence down,
Right.
and you're out there and you're doing something and you're becoming successful at it and you're doing it over and over and over, and then everybody tells you you can't do that.
Right, right.
It's like, but I didn't know you couldn't do that. So because I didn't know you couldn't is the reason why I did it.
Right. I had this when I started a hockey team with in a high school that didn't have a hockey team. I just went ahead and did it. Nobody told me I couldn't do it. I was already working with travel teams, and so I was a coach. I was USAA certified, and I've been playing hockey all my life, so I definitely knew my stuff. I just went and started it. I did the things that were necessary. I got the high school to sponsor it. We had a meeting where I showed up and with the captains. We met with the principal. We talked about it. We got the go-ahead. And then after a little while, somebody came out of the woodwork and said to me, but how did you do this? Because they told me
you can't
do that. And it was the other guy that had wanted to be the coach.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do that because he said, no, you can't do that.
Funny.
We're not going to let you do that. You can't do that. And I just said, I don't know. I just went ahead and did it.
That's
and
funny
that's the way
a lot of
this
people
is.
say that to me too. And
Yes.
it's like, so going over the list of the items that came up kind of coincide with exactly what you're thinking. That magical thinking. I can't do it.
Coupled with procrastination.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things out there. Well, one of the things was low inventory, or they can't find properties, or finding really good deals. And you know, if you're having trouble finding really good deals, you seriously need to go to realestateexpertonline.com. Go to my webinar, watch the crazy webinar. It doesn't take that much time, but that's the answer to getting properties out of a low inventory, no inventory situation, or there's no deals out there. You have to work for the deals.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah.
But
So
I know there are deals everywhere. Every day there's another deal.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I tell people, if you lose this one, don't worry about it. There's another one out there. And it's not just one of those, don't worry, talking to the sixth graders playing the junior varsity. Don't worry, we'll get them next time, when in fact, they're not going to get them for about 4 or 5 years when they grow up.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. But
let's talk.
It's not an idle boast.
Yeah, let's talk about this when we get back from the break, because I think people really want to hear what we've got to say about that.
Do you have a great idea for a radio show but have no idea where to start? Or have you been hosting a podcast for a while and want to take it to the next level? If so, you need the Gab Radio Network. To host a show on the Gab Radio Network, all you need is your voice, and we'll handle the rest, from technical engineering to full-service audio production and much more. Every show on the Gab Radio Network can be heard on our station on the TuneIn Radio app. Plus, we put all of our shows on our satellite, which is accessed by over 5,500 stations. And here's the best part. You can host from anywhere you want. There are many means to connect to the Gab Radio Network remotely, and our staff of highly trained engineers and producers will make you sound like you're right here in studio. So, if you want to be on the Gab Radio Network, the same network that hosts the Small Business Advocate, Radio MD, and the Federalist, send an email right now to sales@gabradionetwork.com. That's sales@gabradionetwork.com.
All right, so we're back. This is really exciting because
I think it is too. We weren't really going to talk about this, and we don't talk about this that much at our events, but I really think that we ought to, because there's more to this than just the knowledge. It's the things that stop people. It's like the Matrix. At a certain point, they were looking at Neo becoming the one, and they were looking at the screen, and they were saying, what's happening? And the one guy says he's beginning to believe. This is crucial. Get out of magical thinking, people.
Yeah. So if you go to Real Estate Expert Online, go ahead and sign up for the webinar. I don't have the schedule in front of me. It's probably a day or two before the webinar starts. And I'm going to go over exactly what you need to do in order to overcome those things. The way you put offers in and the way that you make your offer and the way that it's presented and the amount of offers that you present, like we always say, I think we say it almost every show, Jake, when we go and we do speaking engagements and we ask how many people put in offers today or this week or this month, it's really shocking, absolutely shocking how nobody wants to put offers in. They do all of these calculations. They do all of this math. They look at houses. They walk through houses. They drive to houses. They talk to the sellers if they're dealing with non-listed properties, and they do a lot of stuff that's really not necessary.
It's paralysis by analysis. That's what it is.
I've got some tools that I don't use anymore, and I was selling them online and selling them on Facebook and stuff. And you would be surprised. I put a planer. A planer is a thing that you trim the doors with, and it was an electric one. It was worth about $100, and I just wanted to sell it, so I put it up there for $75. I don't want to deal with the ordeal of going through everything. And when I put it up for sale, I would say I got about 10 or 15 immediate responses of, is this available? And I'm like, duh, I just put it for sale. That'd be like you put a sign up on your house for sale, and people says, is your house for sale?
Right, it's your house for sale, right.
But see, people do that. People go through this process. And then the next thing that they would do is they said, would you take $50 for it? And I'm like, no, because I'm not a desperate person. So for those people asking me for a desperate result, they're not going to get that. But here's the cool thing, Jake. They asked, didn't they?
Yeah.
How many people said, oh, that guy will never take $50 for it. I'm not going to offer it to him.
At least they gave it a shot.
At least they gave it a shot. And see, that's kind of how when I started getting into real estate and getting into the mortgage business and all of that, I didn't know you couldn't do that. So when I was doing things that nobody else was doing and it starts working, it kind of made sense that, oh, yes, I can do this, and I am doing this, and it's working, and I'm making money at it. So I just continued doing that. I guess I was a magical thinker in the way that is kind of the opposite of the dog sitting there, standing at the window, looking out the window. And oh, my God, they're never coming back.
And when he comes back, you magically reappeared.
Magically reappeared.
No way. The dog does not have the mental capacity to distinguish.
Yeah.
And that's why they're so happy when they see you again.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, my goodness, what just happened?
I know.
My owner is magic. I have the magic owner here.
So the consensus is stop thinking magically. Start thinking with knowledge. Start thinking with experience. Start thinking with strategies that work that other people tell you they won't work. That's the whole key. The really, really, really successful Elon Musk. He's building a rocket.
That guy's amazing.
But what does he do? He does all the things that everybody says you can't do it. Right. And then he does it. He landed a booster rocket that he shot up into space, and then it landed back on Earth, and he can use it again. Right. I mean, think of the waste that we've done. If there's an app, and I think I showed you the app, and it shows you the stars in the sky view, and you put it on your phone, and then you can hold your phone up to the sky, and it shows you where all the planets are. What it also shows you is all the space debris of rocket boosters and stuff that we've thrown up there into space. And when you start looking at it, you're like, oh my God. Well, I don't know. Did you see WALL-E, the movie WALL-E?
I did.
Yeah, there was so much junk and trash and debris up in space when they showed the picture of them leaving Earth. It was like, Saturn. It looked like Saturn with all this debris. And
that's right.
And so Elon Musk goes and he builds a rocket that's not going to pollute. I mean, it's like green space travel, And it's just he's doing things that other people say, you can't do that. NASA didn't do that for 40 years, because they said you couldn't do that yet. Here we are.
And
now,
it's amazing.
And it's not new technology that he's using to do it. He's using, from a layman's point of view, I'm not a scientist, that is rocket science.
Yes,
but when you go out there and you start making offers the way I do and I teach you exactly how to do it in this webinar, things happen. Things start to occur. Now, you get a lot of negative response from the naysayers that say you can't do this, but how many times did Elon Musk go to his engineers and say, I want to land this rocket on this barge out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? And they says, you can't do that. And we see the end results. He's doing it. So if, and he just leased the launch pad out there for like 25, 30 years. So he's got some plans, right? So getting back to real estate, everybody replied, or well, not everybody, but I'd say the vast majority was, I'm looking at it here online, can't find deals, finding property that's a good property to flip. Got to be a honey badger. Got to watch my webinar. I go through the exact steps. It is absolutely so important. I had one student one time come to me and says, Cliff, this isn't working. I'm not getting any deals. I can't find any properties. And then, Jake, you're a witness to this because you saw it happen. And I asked them, I says, did you put an offer in this week? And they says, well, no, because everybody's telling me that you can't do this. And I says, well, did you put an offer in this month? And they says, no, because, I can't find any deals that it will fit with. And I says, did you pay attention to what I taught you on that webinar? And, I go back to the old saying is you've got to put offers in. You've got to stop magic thinking that deal is going to be the deal.
That's right. You've got to stop paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
The thing that I love about you, because you do this from the stage, and I not only saw it in this particular instance, which I know what you're talking about, but that's a specific instance. But we do it from the stage all the time. And you get up there and you say, and I just, this just cracks me up because people are all excited. You get up there and you say, oh, you're excited, let's go, and give them the rah-rahs, and okay, let's go. How many offers did everybody put in last week?
Nobody does
like
this.
Crickets. It's like crickets. Because people are not taught, and the point that you make after they're like immediately chastened. I mean, like you've got a whole audience of people who go, well, I didn't put in any offers. What do you mean put in an offer? Are you crazy? That would mean I'd be dealing with real estate, and it's like. And you say, what do you say? Nothing?
Nothing happens until you put offers in.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Yeah. And it's like there's 50, 60, 70 people in the room, and there's 4 people doing deals.
Yeah.
And they pull me on the side, and they're like, Cliff, you're right. If you put offers in, you're going to get deals. So I say to everybody, if you're listening right now and you can't find deals and you're having a hard time finding deals, if it takes you 100 offers to get one deal, why would you do 100 offers over the next year versus doing 100 offers in the next week?
Well, and let's look at the psychology behind this. Let's look at what the behavior is saying. Because when somebody says, I'm not putting in deals, it's like, I feel like saying, what? Are you afraid that if you do,
you want to shake them?
Someone's going. Are you afraid that if you do, someone's actually going to
accept it?
Is that's what troubling you, Bunky?
Well, and that's that whole analysis paralysis thing, because
but people are not thinking about that. They're not thinking about it, and you shake them out of this lethargy and this paralysis and this magical thinking, and it's like you've just opened the heavens to them. It's almost like, and it's an epiphany. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm not putting in any deals. I'm not submitting any offers. Oh my goodness, why didn't I think of that?
Right. Well, and then so let's talk about overcoming the issues of why. And there's like 3 or 4 reasons that constantly come up. Number one, the real estate agent says you can't make offers that way. Next. I'm sorry. Is there any real estate agents in the office here that would like to put in an offer regardless of presuming what the seller's going to do?
That's the answer.
Because obviously your crystal ball is like really tuned in, and you have that neuro link between you and the seller, even though you have nothing to do with the seller because you're a buyer's agent. And by the way, who do you work for, me or the seller? Because I thought you were a buyer's agent, which would say that you work for the buyer, right? So if you can overcome that, that's real simple. If your agent is refusing to do things that you want to do, hey, these are not unethical ideas. They're not illegal ideas. They're negotiating tactics and strategies that work. So if they can't comprehend or wrap themselves around, the ideology of how you're putting the offer in, find somebody that will.
Well, and I just want to remind the listeners as we're talking about this, and I'm going to be doing this periodically because we don't know who's coming in and who's coming out. And so excuse me if it sounds like if we're repeating. Well, no, I just interrupt you because it's necessary to shut you down sometimes. But these are the things that we're talking about here right now, just what we've talked about. Submitting an offer. Nothing starts until you submit the offer. Yep. If the expert, the quote-unquote expert, says it's never been done that way, you say, excuse me, do you work for me? Or, excuse me, obviously you're really tuned in and you don't want to do that. Is there somebody else in the office who wants to submit offers for me? Is that stuff hard to do?
No.
No, you may never have thought of it before, but it's not hard to do, and this is the value of your years of experience as a real estate expert. This is what I'm trying to point out to our listening audience.
They're not going to like me then. If I'm rude to them, they're not going to like me.
I know, and that just hurts me so much personally.
And they're the only real estate agent on the planet, and I can't find another agent. No, that's not true. Right. I'm being sarcastic, actually.
I know. We need to Google the list of ex-Starbucks baristas who have turned into real estate agents. Hey, that alone will reveal untold thousands of real estate agents.
Well, it's really funny. We trash on real estate agents all the time, but they're my best friends.
It's trashing on experts.
Yeah,
and I say quote unquote experts, and the sway, the terrible sway, and the thrall that they hold over quote unquote ordinary people, to terrify them. That when they say boo, the person says, "Oh, excuse me, sir. Don't hit me. Don't." That's basically what it is. I know nothing. You know everything. That's not it. That's not it at all. And what we're explaining here right now is some really simple things to take back control, cast off.
Oh, wait. What did you say? Do what?
Take back control.
Take back control. That's right. That is so important to realize. That's who you are. You are the person in control, not the other people. If you watch the TV shows, who's in control of those real estate shows? It's the real estate investor. And what happens is people go out there and they forget they're in control. They're the ones that are doing this. So go out there, and if the real estate agent that you choose to work with doesn't get it, some people just never will. I know people that I put in tons of offers with, and I bought this one house from this woman, and then I bought like 24 houses from this same person. Oh. And every single time we would go to put an offer in, she would go ballistic. She turned into a sailor. I never heard words like that, and I'm a man. You know what I mean? And I was everything under the sun that you could think of, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know that word existed. And she was like, you can't do this. This doesn't work. And finally, I looked at her and I says, hey, when are you gonna get it? And she says, when am I gonna get what? You know, you've heard that tone, I'm sure, several times. Right. And I says, when are you going to get that this works? How many houses have I bought from you? And she's like, 24, 25, I don't know. I don't remember. There's been a lot of them. And I'm like, okay, when are you going to get it? And she sat there and she stared me down and she gave me that evil mom look, you know, like you just did something in public and your mom's going to.
One of the scariest looks I know.
I love my mom, but man, when she gave me that look, I knew it.
It was me like, oh my God, what did I do now?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Giving me the look.
And you know, the shoe's coming.
Yeah. Well, with me it was the brush, but
the brush. Oh
yeah,
boy.
Right.
So yeah, you know, and after she looked at me like that, she kept writing the contract, and that's the last deal that she would do for me because she became an investor herself. And what happens is
she began to believe.
And just, you know, I hate to keep using the same analogy, but how many engineers did Elon go through that he had to terminate and let go because they just couldn't get it? I know a lot of people because in Southern California, there was a huge amount of engineers that are rocket scientists. I mean, they develop rockets and missile systems and military stuff that are completely out of work. They're 50 to 65 years old, and they made really good money. But the problem is there's no jobs existing for them anymore because technology that they're experts at. And I mean, they could go build a missile system right now that would save the world kind of thing, but that technology is not being used anymore. So unless you learn to adapt, you're a dinosaur. And what happens to dinosaurs? Well, going back to, I can't find any real estate deals, how many offers did you put in? Are you putting in multiple offers? Are you putting in the right offers? You know, if you're competing against 40 or 50 people and you put an offer in the way they tell you to, you're going to get the same results that they are getting. So go to Real Estate Expert Online, check it out. realestateexpertonline.com is where you can go sign up for the webinar. Go watch the webinar because it really teaches you how to overcome that one thing.
Well, not only that, it actually gives you a usable technique that you can go out and use right away. And it's a valuable, valuable technique.
Jake,
this is the great thing. This is one of the things I love about you, is that other people get up there and spiel. And it's like this happy event. People get up there in events, the salespeople who you think know about real estate, but they really don't. They're really only salespeople. They get up there, most of them, and they get up there, and it's like this certain kind of society. It's like this fantasy society where we talk about real estate, but we really don't know anything because, A, I'm up here on the stage. I really don't know anything about real estate. I'm just here to sell you product. And you guys are pretending to want to know about real estate because all of the research you've done has never yielded any usable techniques or too few usable techniques or techniques that you tried once haltingly.
Haltingly, that's important.
They told you you couldn't do it, and it was like, oh my God, I'm so ashamed. And you went back in your little hidey hole, and you go to events. And, you know, there are people who do that. People just go to events, and that's like their social life. But this is the thing I love about you, and this is what we're doing in the webinar, and this is what we're doing in our events. When we do an event, it's a teaching event. When we do our 6-hour events that we do in various parts of California, we actually give you, 3 techniques that you can use?
Yeah.
And these are
major
techniques. This isn't just falderall and balderdash coming from the stage. We teach you things that you could literally, if it wasn't dark by the time, but I mean, you know what I mean? You can go out, I want to say that night, you can go out and use that night, but realistically speaking, you could go out that night if you wanted to. You could go out the next day and you could use these techniques and they would be incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, the value of the things you teach, it really irritates me because I'm like, why aren't you charging for this? And then we buy them dinner, you know, and it's like the grocer who was interviewed and he said, I lose money on every sale, but I make it up on volume. I say, Cliff, why are you doing things like this? But
because it's the right thing to do, Jake. It's the right thing to do to offset all of, you know, I've been in the seminar industry for 18, 19 years now. I know what the routine is, and I know that it doesn't work, and it leaves tons of people in the wake. You know, like when you're riding in a boat and you look back and you see that wake of white water. Those are all the poor souls that went to real estate seminars
That's right.
Can't get things done. And then when you come back and you say, hey, this isn't working, they try to sell you something else. That's not what we do. I teach you everything. And when you watch the webinar, you're going to learn one of my most amazing strategies. And then you're going to learn how you can find out the rest of my strategies and put them to work. And everybody says to me, Cliff, you don't charge enough. People think, oh, that's not worth it. And they're skeptical because they think, gee, it's so cheap. How could it possibly? Because you need the facts. You need to be able to go out and do real estate deals. If you're buying a product that's not going to deliver you all the tools to put that together, then you're wasting your money. And when I would
because there will always be a point. You will reach a point in the progress of the deal, even if you have almost everything. You'll reach a point and you won't be able to continue because that part is missing. So you have to provide all the parts.
Yeah. So my program has all the parts. It has everything, all those missing pieces. And, you know, the only thing, Jake, that you've seen over the last few years is people come to me and they say, hey, I want to step up my game. What do I do next? You know, because I'm doing everything that you said and I want to take it to the next level. And you know, we help you with that too. And it's not like, oh, come to my seminar and spend $40,000. I don't do that, you know. But if you want to, you know, personally have me sit at your dining room table, that's an option that's available. But you don't really need that as much as you think you do. You need the basics. You need the pure strategies that work that will get you to that next level. And that's why I put everything in my program. I put everything in there. I mean, it's everything. And everybody's like, you give them too much and you don't charge enough. Well, if you get the program and you really think I gave you too much and I didn't charge you enough, I'll have my web guy build a web page where you can come along. You know, it's funny.
We'll call it name your price point.
It's like, you know, not to get into politics, but just a tiny bit on taxes. It's like, hey, everybody's out there screaming, we're not charging enough in taxes. People got to pay more. Are the same people that could write the check to the IRS on their own and say, you know what? Forget about trying to push it off on everybody else. I'm going to step up and I'm going to write an extra check to the IRS because it's my patriotic duty. But they don't do that. So I think it's funny when people say you don't charge enough or you don't get the right materials, you don't get enough information. Like Jake said, you get just enough information to get you to that point where now you need help again, and they didn't deliver that. So keep that in mind when you look at the webinar. I'm going to give you one strategy that made me able to do what I do.
It's an incredible strategy. It's not just a little thing. It's just not a throwaway. It's not something that worked 20 years ago but no longer works. It's something you can do. Not only does you can do it right now, but it works. The concept works every single time. Every
time you
single.
buy a deal using that strategy, it's a home run. I call them smoking hot deals. When you get a smoking hot deal and you sign on the paperwork at closing, there is no mistakes made. There is no uh-ohs, because that's all built into the strategy. So the other thing that people talked about that they, we need a 2-hour show.
Are we talking about that? I know. We need a 2-hour show.
The other thing is people say money. Money. I need money to buy the deals. I need money to do the rehab. I need money to do this. I need money to do that. I specifically, in my program, there's like 4 different videos that go over nothing but how to get the money. And there's multiple levels and stages, and everybody gets into it, and it's the chicken and the egg syndrome. I need the money in order to put the offer in, and I need an offer to get the money. How do I do that? How do I get started?
Oh, and unless you're independently wealthy, or if you have some source, this is a killer. This is like its own particular kind of hell, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
somebody who worries about that and who doesn't have the answer to that.
Right. And if you don't know where to go to get it, I'm going to give them just one little piece. If you learn anything in life, is money follows a deal. If you've got this really great idea, because the cemetery is full of a lot of great ideas. There's a lot of them out there. And it's
and can I interrupt you at this point, because I wanted to comment. I was going to say, before you said it, I was going to say, Cliff, are you about to utter your completely psychotic statement that money follows the deal?
Yes.
Who ever heard of such a thing? What do you mean? Is money driving a truck around to my properties, following me?
All right,
with cash in the. What are you talking about? Money follows the deal. Cliff, I think you've gone off the rails here. I think we may have to end our partnership over. It's just too crazy. I'm not sure I can handle this. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Let me give you the little simple idea. Okay, you come to me and you say, Cliff, I need $100,000 because I'm going to go out there and I'm going to buy a house and it's going to be a smoking hot deal. And my reply is, oh, great, where is it? Show me what you're doing. And a lot of times you don't even get that far when you ask people just blatantly for money, because everybody's fixated on, I need money for a deal and I'll give you 15% interest and 2 points and I'll give you a 65% loan to value. That means nothing if you have nothing to show for it. So, I got people that'll pay 18, 20, 25%. And, so it has to be the deal. The deal. Okay, so now, Jake, you come to me this time and you say, Cliff, I bought this house. It's worth $1 million. I got it under contract for $500,000 and it needs $150,000 in repairs. Can you loan me the money? I only have the $100,000 to do the repairs with. I need the acquisition money. See, now you've painted a picture. I think of that guy with the big afro in the 70s that used to do the painting. I'm going to put a nice little house right over here. I forget what his name is. He's on PBS.
Oh, the guy who is actually an ex-gunnery sergeant.
Yeah.
Just an incredibly calm, blissed out guy.
Yeah. Well, when you paint the picture and you make it like in the beginning when you show that white canvas, and then at the end he shows you the picture, you're like, oh, I could do that. And he only did it in 30 minutes, And that's what you have to do when you're looking for the money, number one. Number two, you got to go ask the people who are going to be able to give it to you. Now, there is, on the last time I looked this up, which was about a year and a half ago, $7 trillion sitting in IRAs, investment accounts that were procured by the individual. So that means that person with the right knowledge could turn that into a self-directed IRA or a checkbook IRA, and as long as they follow the rules, and that's not my expertise, but I do know how to find those people and lead them to the experts so that they can get that money accessible to them to make a 10, 11, 12% return versus 2, 3, 4%, whatever they're getting, from the stock market and whatever. And as long as you do everything right, I teach people these training courses for the gurus years ago, and I would sit down and the first questions I would ask them is, what do you got? What are you working with? Do you have money to do repairs? Do you have money to, and they're like, well, we're kind of broke, but we have $680,000 in our IRA, but we can't touch that. And I'm like, I'm screaming, right? So it is, there's a lot of money out there, and the people that have that money may run across your path. So you need to ask the right questions. And the right question is how much are you making on your retirement account? And they say, well, we did really good last year. After the ups and the downs, and of course now we've got a lot of ups right now, right? The market's screaming on the top, and everybody's just yelling and screaming that it's going to crash any minute now.
22% higher than it was last year at this time.
So
22%.
The thing that I would tell people is to divest. Is that the correct word? I make up words sometimes. You want to diversify your investments.
Well, I don't think you want to divest yourself of your entire IRA, but you want to diversify, and you want to do other things with it if you've got an amount that's built up in there that you can use.
And especially if you had $600,000 in there last year, and now you've got $700,000 in there because of the way the market went. Use that other $100,000 to gain a 10, 11, 12% return. That is being smart with your money and using it in a risky situation. When I did hard money loans, I would loan 65% of value, and I would make sure that the person going in there was doing the repairs, and I was hands-on. And I hear a lot of people, online talk about, oh my God, I gave this person money and now I can't get them to call me back. Well, did you put a first mortgage on it? No, we kind of just went to the title company and I wrote them a check for $100,000. Okay, are you on title? No, they said that I didn't need to be on there. And it's like, oh my God, why didn't you take my training? Because I teach this.
You take the hard money lenders training. Have the hard money. We ought to market product for hard money lenders to take it.
Well, they're getting an education.
Right. Yeah.
The ones who aren't doing it right are getting an education.
Yeah.
So, but if honestly, Jake, in the situation that I would put my money and other people's money back in the day, I would hope that the person would fail, because then they bought the house at 80% of market value. I gave them 65% of their acquisition money, which is not 65%. I'm below that. I'm somewhere around 50, 60%. If they fail after doing all the repairs and can't make the payments, I swoop in, take the property, and sell it for retail. So if you set things up right for the investor, and then you do things right by buying the property correctly, the way I show you in the webinar, and then you go through all these steps, all this becomes really simple and easy.
Well, and not only that, Cliff, but there's another thing that we need to talk about with regard to hard money lenders, and we're near the end of the show here, but I want to mention it, is that hard money lenders can destroy deals. And the way they destroy deals is they overvalue, or they take advantage. And this goes back to one of our bywords, one of our catchphrases is fake training.
Yep.
And one of the parts of the and it's not necessarily that people are up there selling you smoke, although that sometimes happens. But there's fake training, because it's training that worked 20 years ago. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't take into account certain things. It leaves certain things out, because what they actually want you to do is they want you to come back and say, I couldn't do this. And then, well, we have our handy dandy $80 million product that you can buy, and it will answer that question for you. And one of the things that they teach you to do is to overvalue, which is why your video on comps is so good. Overvalue. So you come to the hard money lender. And remember, we talked about this at the Clark County. Remember the auction there? We were going over the properties.
Yep.
And they're overvalued to begin with, so the hard money lender lends you the money, he knows it's overvalued and that you're not going to be able to sell it for that. And so you default on that, and then he does what you say hard money lenders do. He swoops in and he takes it and he sells it for retail because he already knows. So the important thing to know is how to gauge the proper value of the property. And we teach that. It's called comps. And we teach that, and you teach that too. But I just wanted to mention that because when you said you swoop in and you sell it for retail, hard money lenders do that. So one of the things that we teach is how to pick your hard money lender, how to set it up, how to do it properly, and how to understand what the true value of the property is so you don't go to the hard money lender for a shack that's half burned down. You can see the charring where the fire was on the property. And you just bought it for $1 million when it's worth 50, and you go to the hard money lender, and the hard money lender says, "Yeah, sure, you whatever." And
the worst thing is, and I'm surprised nobody ever said it. Well, I'm not surprised that nobody said it because it's real simple, Jake. They're saying they're having a hard time getting deals because they're not putting in offers. Yeah. They're saying that there's no inventory out there because they're not putting in offers. When you go over the last 25 years and look at the markets, and my strategy worked in up markets and down markets, in hot markets and slow markets. It works everywhere because it finds the seller, not the house. It finds the seller that is willing to do what you need them to do in order to make it a deal.
Right. This is the crack up about it because this works in every market. This is the crack up about real estate. If you want to get rich, if you want to do your personal financial revolution, which is what we talk about, do real estate because it works in every market. You're always going to make more. If there are any losses, you're going to lose less than you would in other ventures, and we teach you how to do it.
It's funny. You say it works in any market, and that kind of brings me to think about what
can you find that works in any market? What market? What kind of adventure or venture can you find where you have techniques and they work no matter what you do? They work no matter where you are.
It's called hindsight. And look at the crypto market right now. Everybody's talking about buying these Bitcoins and the different cryptocurrencies, and it went up to what? Almost, did it go to 20? I think Bitcoin went to $20,000.
Went to 20. I just looked at the news the other day, and it's down. It's down. I think it's down 55%. Don't quote me on that, even though it's going out on the air. But it went down. It went down quite a bit.
Yeah, without looking.
People are coming on and writing articles saying, well, this doesn't mean that it's going to go bust. It just means that in the way that these market analysts always do.
Yeah. Well, real estate's the same way, Jake. Real estate does not fluctuate the way that the crypto stuff does, so that's a good thing. So you can see the patterns of the ups and downs, and they take much longer. But when you get into crypto, when you get into the stock market, you could lose a ton of money tomorrow. Whereas in real estate, it's like I call it the the slow leaking air tire, on your car that, every 3 days you got to put air in it.
And if you've got a slow leak, you're apprised of that. You go out and you look at your tire and you see it's leaking. Yep. It's not screwed up yet, but it's almost screwed up, and you can fix it. And that's the same way you do it. And the way you do it is to follow our techniques. Cast off procrastination, cast off magical thinking, go watch the webinar. This guy's the real deal. We're telling you the truth. This is not fake. This is the real thing.
Yeah. realestateexpertonline.com. Just click on there and make sure that you put your name in there, put your email in there. We don't spam. We just got to get you into the webinar and get you scheduled. And once you do that, you're going to find that, the problems that people are telling me, which is I can't find a deal, are going to start popping. You're going to start seeing the things happen, and you're going to start seeing them really working hard for you versus, going out there and saying, oh, Cliff, I can't find anything. And
I think we got to go.
Yeah.
I think it's time to go.
We need a 2-hour show.
I know we do.
So go Real Estate Expert Online. Go check it out. Make sure you sign up today. Go see the webinar. Learn how to buy property. Learn how to get them, and then watch how these problems start going away.
Okay.
And come back next week, Saturday, same time. Same bat channel, same bat time.
When we continue your personal financial revolution.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Expert Online Radio Show with Jake and Cliff. The real estate investing revolution has only just begun. Want more information on your own personal revolution? Go to realestateexpertonline.com or call 1-800-396-1501. The owners of the show, this station, or any of its affiliates want you to know that real estate investing is risky. You could lose your entire investment. Topics and opinions expressed in the show are for informational and entertainment purposes, not professional advice or even factual reporting. The owners disclaim any responsibility to supplement, correct, or modify the content of any broadcast. Nothing in this content shall be construed to create an agreement, waive this disclaimer, encourage evasion or disobedience to any law, or constitute a submission to jurisdiction in any state or country. Persons or entities referred to are entirely fictional. No reference to an actual person or entity is intended, but is entirely coincidental.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Fort Duke, 81-77. Chamery Ponds dropping 33. He also hauled in 7 boards and had 3 dimes. Oklahoma